following program is rated PG. Parental guidance is advised.
Good evening, viewers. Welcome to the Face of Friday night. Peter Kivazo, your host. An interesting Friday in this region, in this country. I know that the AU is sitting in Kigali, and there's been all this frenzy for Uganda to deliver the next chair of the AU for whatever it's worth, and there's been a bit of holding of the breath that it's possible that it may not happen immediately because the elections were supposed to be forestalled. I don't think that has happened, and it will go on. I don't think there is a lot of prediction to happen because it looks like it's smooth sailing for Dr. Specioza Wandera Kazibwe, unless otherwise. Coming back to Kampala, finally Dr. Kizza Besigye on Tuesday got his bail, and he went home, and the police... Okay. I have my friend Simeo Mwanga Nsubuga in the studio. Until the last time, he was the spokesman of the police for Kampala Metropolitan.
That is about almost 10 years ago.
Oh, you want to remind us it is 10 years ago. Yes, Simeo Mwanga Nsubuga, welcome aboard.
Thanks a lot.
Member of Parliament for Kasanda South.
Yes, sir.
Where my friend Nyombi Tembo was. Now Simeo Nsubuga holds the fort. Yes, alongside Simeo, I have for the SPLM in opposition. I have for the SPLM in opposition, Bwai Keke. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
And Bwai Keke is the... What is the office? The representative?
The
Chief de Micho?
No, allow me to say it myself.
Yes.
You have difficulties of saying it.
Yes.
I am a national coordinator for SPLM, SPLA-IO to Uganda. I also act as a representative for the SPLM, SPLA-IO. Effectively,
you are the ambassador of the SPLM in
that's
opposition.
The right word.
Absolutely.
Your Excellency. Welcome aboard, Bwai Keke. And I have Charles Robshana.
The Almighty God is great.
Right. When I was talking about Dr. Besigye being released, I was looking at Simeo Nsubuga. And today on a forum somewhere, I told Paul Enamai that I don't envy her position at this time. She did a wonderful statement before I go to the subject of the day. We're going to discuss South Sudan and the chaos and crisis there as we speak. I think at the last count, we had lost about 300 people. I don't know whether the numbers have gone any worse than that. But I said that if I were in Paul Enamai's shoes, I would hate it. I would hate it. For us communication practitioners, it's the worst nightmare you can go through. You make a statement and your boss makes a statement that is almost on the tangent contrary to yours. But Simeo, I know that those are moments that you would long to be in charge, to enjoy
you
the
remember
sun.
my days?
Well, I don't know what you would tell us, that the whipping was good.
Okay, you know what we call official position of the force. So you had to get the official position. You know when you PRO, like in Amaye, what he's doing, the words he's speaking are not our words, because he's representing the institution. So you have to get facts very clear, and you know the position of the institution. But now as I'm speaking to you as a lawmaker. You have to differentiate the two. So you may condemn her, but the fact
No, I don't condemn her.
Yeah, but
she made a brilliant statement.
She
made a brilliant statement. Actually, the statement on the contrary is her boss's statement.
That's why you get a problem. That you have made a statement which you think is the official position of the force. But someone who is senior to you comes up and says to the contrary, and you can't retract what you have said.
Well,
I don't see what intrigues you. Because you're not even talking, you even at some stage even failed to breathe.
No. Charles, I have been on the streets of this country, and I think that it is pathetic when the national force retracts into a cow formation, picks rungus, Like, and I mean, it's even uncouth to herd cows with rungus.
But you have,
If the national police force descends to those depths, it is pathetic, it is uncalled
it's
for.
it's the management style. The management style we have is the corral management style. You beat cows.
But people are not cows,
Yes,
Chelsea.
no, the cows are even better. By the way, these exotic cows, they don't beat them. There is a certain brand of local cows that they beat. So they've reduced you to the value of cows. Your level of cows, even far below the level of cows, beat you the way they wish, and they even happy about it. Others, they kill them. So you either live with it or organize and liberate yourselves. Crying won't help.
Well, and unfortunately, I'm not
Because
going
they
to
procure
discuss that
sticks
subject.
through, the question we should be asking is, do they procure these sticks through PPDA? Do they train in beating? And because when you look at these sticks, they even have commanders. They have zones. They have even recruited civilians. We discussed why would they recruit civilians to beat other civilians. Sometimes those who beat are not this mainstream Subuga.
But this time, interestingly, a lot of them were actually in combat.
Yeah, and they are beating on cars. So did they train them? How you beat on the car, how you carry crate, because the car also adds momentum. Where do you beat? And those are interesting things to study, because now you are studying the demented mind of violence, management of the population by violence.
But
By the way, including the one who also brings them on the road. Because even the SJ, why can't he change style? You bring the beat, you bring the beat for how long?
But does he invite them?
Yes, he does. How long does it? How many times have you seen the cardinal on top of the vehicle? You think they don't have people?
Yes, Simeo, you were saying,
one thing which
I need to go to South
I
Sudan.
want to bring out about this beating. You know, the AU summit is in Kigali. And as a country, we have presented a candidate for the chairperson of AU. What happened yesterday and the other day, I don't know, either these are good Ugandans or bad Ugandans, they sent pictures to the delegates there. And the delegates were communicating to us that, you know, we can see what is going on in your country. Because now the whole attention is on Uganda as a country.
Not Juba.
No, not Juba, because they are, those who are in Kigali, they have put much attention on our country because we are presenting a candidate. So in one way or the other, these pictures have created negativity on our side.
Are you saying that the police is decampaigning SPE?
No, not really. But through their actions, for them, they are not aware. But as far as
You doubt that they are aware?
What I mean, the action which they did, it is a wrong action. But the officer he was not aware that what he did was very bad.
Time is such a sweet thing that Simeo sits here and says it is wrong.
No, I'm told you now I'm a lawmaker, my brother. I'm no longer putting on the uniform. I'm telling you what we have got in Kigali. People are sending us information.
Okay.
It is very bad. But as the people have already said, we hope that the action is going to be taken.
You don't
against
expect action.
This officer. No, we expect
You don't.
We expect it.
Come on.
Because even yesterday, we told the minister.
You see, the pain for me is not the violence meted out on people. It is the supposed, mark my word, good people that condescend and say we expect action, we expect investigations, and no stone will be left unturned. Come on, wake me up, someone, pinch me. I live in this country. I know that nothing is going to happen. You can wake me up tomorrow, they will beat the next group, and they will beat another group, and nothing will happen.
If you can't stop it, stop discussing it. Because they do it deliberately to divert you. Like now this one is done to divert you from discussing the mayhem in Juba.
Well, viewers,
spend a lot of energy on it.
viewers, the reason I have Bwai Keke in the studio is because of a graver problem. I mean, the one in Kampala cannot get any worse than it is because it can only degenerate. It can only degenerate. It can't get better. When you start beating, the next time you will possibly carry pangas because people will respond with sticks, and then possibly the police will up the game, either come with AK-47s or come with pangas, and then the next thing they will be possibly fighting with RPGs to fight each other. If we don't stop it, we'll degenerate, and boy, we'll get to Somalia sooner than later. But why? South Sudan, Juba, a country with so much hope, yet that's about it, hope. Several years ago, about 4 years ago, I was a guest in Juba. And I had the privilege of meeting Vice President Salva Kiir. President Salva Kiir, I met even by Vice President Riek Machar and the whole high command of the SPLA, SPLM. And I thought there is so much hope, there is so much potential. It blew up in a short while. Then you had the peace talks after the last crisis, after the last killings. And I thought, okay, it may really be bad, but these guys are going to sit and talk. How did we end up at this second burst up of violence that has cost excess of 300 lives, has taken Sudan in human cost backwards to $1 billion and so?
Thank you so much. First of all, the incident that happened in Juba later on spread across the country is very unfortunate. It is unexpected. The people of South Sudan after independence, like any other person, wish to establish their life. After a long years of civil war with the Sudan. But unfortunately, everybody is surprised by the actions of political actors, especially the SPLM leaders. Just to give you a bit of background. What happened in 2013, first of all, was not a national issue. It has never been an issue to do with the whole nation. It was issue of the SPLM as a party. There was some basic party principles and belief that the SPLM, after liberating the country, achieved the independence. The SPLM wanted to transform itself from a guerrilla institution to a political party that will take the country into democratic processes. So in that process, there was conflict, there was a problem. That was basically that triggered the 2013 conflict. It was an SPLM issue.
You had disagreements between Pagana Moon, Riek Machar, and Salva Kiir, and those that had come from France and those that had come from Nairobi.
Absolutely, there was a conflict on the document, on the basic document of the party, which were undergoing reviews and reconstitution. There was also issue of candidacy. The president wanted to continue. Then the vice president, the then vice president, Dr. Riek Machar, expressed an interest for the leadership of the party. Then we have Madame Rebecca, the wife of the late Dr. John Garang, and then the SPLM secretary, Pagana Moon. So those were personality of the SPLM who have expressed interest to take charge of the party. For anybody, either be a member of SPLM or not, we thought these are issues of parties, these are parties' issues that could be addressed at the level of the parties. And if not, the normal procedure is that people go for convention. And democratic exercise takes its course. Then, of course, eventually somebody will be chosen by the party. And then we expect the party to reunite, because after that, it will be about the national election in which other political parties will have to participate.
Do a fast forward. There was a negotiation that was superintended by the IGAD membership, the summit of the IGAD. And that negotiation delivered an agreement between SPLM in opposition and SPLM. What didn't go right?
There was an agreement after a number of months or years after the conflict in 2013. It has been so difficult for the party to the conflict and IGAD and other international community to ensure that there is an agreement on the table. Fortunately, they have succeeded. There was an agreement. Of course, the agreement, there has been a serious resistance from the government in Juba, especially from President Salva. He had put forward reservations. These reservations were never discussed. On several occasions, President Salva Kiir has been saying that he's finding it very difficult to implement the agreement. Even after he signed.
What led to the latest bust up of conflict?
He continued to stress the challenges that he or his party face with the implementation of the agreement. And to me,
Keke, what led to the latest bust up of conflict?
I think this reservation constitute the very reason why people are fighting today. It has actually led to this current conflict that is happening in South Sudan.
It had to have a spark. You had the president and the vice president in the same place. How did the population end up fighting? The SPLM in opposition sent out messages saying that Dr. Riek Machar had been arrested.
Well, I think the media would claim to have listened so fast, more than we do. But let me take this opportunity to give you the version, the official version, which I know.
Let's hear that.
I went to Juba in December 21st as part of the advance team of the SPLM-IO. When we were going to Juba, on our itinerary, we have several plans, several activities to be conducted that will lead to the coming of the deputy chairman, Alfred Ladegor, and subsequently to the coming of our chairman, Dr. Riek Machar. When we went to Juba, immediately a day after our arrival, the president decided to operationalize the proposed 28 state, which was not part and parcel of the agreement. That was a very shocking thing to us as Advantage, because it signaled a bad beginning. Then we say, okay, we had to send the chief negotiator back to Pagak for consultation with Dr. Machar. And then Dr. Machar and our leadership took a brave decision that we should return to Juba and continue to dialogue and negotiate with the government with the help of the midwife, the IGAD, and the international community. We came to Juba. In the process of preparing the ground for the coming of the chairman and the implementation of the agreement, the government began to behave in a peaceful manner. First of all, they arrested our media team, who are part of the Advan team, who went to go on sensitization mission, to go and inform the people of South Sudan of what is happening, about the peace.
Keke,
These people were arrested.
I'll come back to you. Let me hold you here, and I'll come back to you. I need to talk to Simeo Nsubuga, Honorable.
Yes,
Simeo, you spent some time in Juba.
5 years.
Yes, that's not little time. You possibly got a fair understanding of the terrain there.
Yes.
Get through your ear to the ground now and tell me, how did we get into the latest bust-up? What is the role of the region around the South Sudan?
Okay, thanks a lot for your question, and I thank His Excellency Ambassador for his contribution. What you have witnessed in Juba in recent days is just a continuation of what happened in December 2013. December 2013, from 13, 14, up to 20 years, I was there. There's quite a very big problem in that country. The major problem in South Sudan is coexistence, accepting to live together, especially the two major tribes. That is our brothers, the Dinkas, and our brothers, the Nweris. For them to accept that this country belongs to us and let us live peacefully. That's where the problem comes from. Look at what happened in December 2013. As he has rightly mentioned, it is true. There were some problems within the leadership of the party, SPLM, especially among the two principals, that is Excellency Salva Kiir and His Excellency Riek Machar. But that's what you can see at the personal level between the two. But behind them, they are representing the views of their two respective tribes. And that's where the problem starts. Now, at the end of it, after fighting the SPLM in opposition, they left Juba, they went to the bush. Later on, they came back under this new agreement. Peter, when you look at that agreement, critically, between you and me, it creates what we call a state within a state. And it is unacceptable. Some of us who have been there as their advisors, we looked at it and said, okay, let us see the implementation. Because you can't have a capital city.
So you doubted the implementation of
automatically, you can't. You can't have a capital city where there are two commanders of the army. In the South Sudan, they call them chief of the general staff. Here, what we call chief of defense forces. You cannot have two. SPLM, they have theirs, commanding their own forces. And SPLM in opposition, they also have theirs, giving different commands, but within a capital city. So that's where the big problem comes in. His Excellency here, the ambassador, may not tell you the truth. But Peter...
It's not His Excellency if he doesn't tell you the truth.
No, he's the ambassador. But behind the SPLM in opposition, for you see Dr. Riek Machar in front here. But behind him, there are powerful generals who sometimes gives contrary instructions. And when you say His Excellency Salva Kiir, behind him there are also powerful generals. Because between you and me, what happened, was it on Friday night when there was a meeting in the State House?
Yeah, Friday.
Friday night. The two principals were inside the State House, deliberating on issues. And the information we have, they never knew what was happening outside the State House. Just for them to hear fighting going on. But these were generals who were giving contrary instructions. So however much...
That is where the accusation has been that I was telling Keke.
Yeah.
That actually it is alleged that one of their own sent out a message saying that Dr. Riek Machar
and that's where
had been arrested.
the problem started from. So...
He's giving information and then we'll come.
Yeah, if you would allow me to say something. First of all, the people of South Sudan, particularly the Nuer and the Dinka, are one people. They have coexist.
No, you give an extensive reaction, but I needed specific reaction on, is it true that this message was sent out?
It is an allegation. It is not true. The fighting happened, and then after 3 hours, the alleged message that has been circulating in the media as to be the basis of the fighting was sent out. It was sent as an information after the fighting. Actually, it was sent after the fighting stopped. Why should it be the basis for the fighting?
Yes, Simel.
So, to me, that's where the problem comes in. Now, when you hear, like I think since yesterday or the other day, that His Excellency Riek has left Juba. To some people who have been in South Sudan, that is very serious. Because even the other time, after he had left Juba, that's when the war started. So if you hear that he has left Juba, you don't know what is going to happen.
But is it true? Keke was saying that he's actually in Juba.
Well, he's not in Juba town, but he's within the vicinity of Juba.
His defense.
So he can't be located where he
Security
is.
matter. Why do you want it?
No, but originally, as he's part of the government, the government still
He's the
stands.
vice president
He's the
of the
vice
government.
You know
president.
why Museveni is now?
No, get this one very clear. President Museveni is within Uganda. But, Comrade Charles, what I know, you have been near South Sudan. Because you have been DC Padere. You are sharing the border, so you know something, you know a little bit about what was happening across the country. But when you hear that he has left Juba, that means you don't know what the forces can do. You are not in control. So to me, this is very, very serious. And the one thing which I want you, His Excellency Ambassador, not to escape from, that the bottom line is to ensure that these two prominent tribes within South Sudan, these
learn
two
to live with each other.
Because
Viewers, I'm taking a break.
They contributed to the war, and they contributed a lot to the agreement.
Would you
which
allow me
brought
to
in
respond before the break?
No. I'll take the break and then I'll come back.
Independence in the country.
You'll have a lot more to respond to if Charles opens his mouth. Viewers, I'll take this break, and when I return, I'll hear from Charles Romshan. I know he's itching to go. And there's so many questions. On Tuesday, I was here with a professor that says that looks like slowly we are retreating into primordial societies. So the Nuer will look at themselves as Nuer, the Acholi will look in the Equatorial Province, will look at...
Equatorians.
Yes. But very interesting, Equatorial Province has been largely peaceful. Largely, not totally, but largely peaceful and governed as such. What happened in Juba that, and Keke here will correct me, that actually the real war that killed so many people did not, or the bust up, did not take 6 hours. It possibly happened over 4 or 5 hours, and then the rest were skirmishes that followed that. But 300 or so people were killed within that space. Is that true? Was it planned? Or did it just happen? Don't go away.
You're going to love it. Set free the adventure, action, and laughter. Live the drama, guts, and glory. Love the learning, imagination, and happy ever afters. Embrace the music, passion,
Only you
and romance.
make this world seem right.
Make room for even more of what you love and tap into unlimited viewing pleasure with the very best selection in locally produced favorites, international channels, and family entertainment. Go TV. Live it. Love it.
Do you want to be part of the latest trends driving the global economy? Online forex trading is the simultaneous buying and selling of currencies and is currently the largest market with an estimated $5 trillion traded daily. To know all the latest information, register for the Forex Trading Workshop and learn the science of trading online. The workshop is slated for the 20th through to the 22nd of July at Hotel Triangle along Buganda Road. For more information, call 0782 314220. Online trading, the new driver of the global economy.
Welcome back. It is the Face of Friday night. Peter Kivazo, Honorable Simeo Mwanga Nsubuga. I have Buai Keke and the ambassador for the SPLM in opposition here, or head of mission as it were, and Charles Romshana. And viewers, my production team has very specific clips from from 2 interviews done by President Salva Kiir and Dr. Riek Machar earlier with Al Jazeera TV, courtesy of Al Jazeera. And I'll just have those, if both of them possibly answer a few of the questions that we've been asking about and how we were led where we are at. I'll start with President Salva Kiir.
And the messages which were being preached during the conflict, especially by Mr. Machar, were a message that can divide people for good. So even if I appeal to them, there were so many people who were left inside. They did not join Riek Machar, although being from his tribe. The problem that we are not moving smoothly on the implementation of the agreement are the issues, the way the agreement was designed. And when I signed this agreement in August last year, I said it in front of the presidents of IGAD. I told them that this agreement was not made to be implemented.
So you signed up to an agreement that you believed was essentially wrong. It was essentially...
It was wrong.
It was broken before it started.
It was wrong because even to sign it was a problem. They said if there is a wrong sentence in English, don't correct it. Don't put a comma.
Well, since I came to Juba, I have been delivering one message with 4 issues. 1, stabilizing security in the country. This is important. 2, stabilizing the economy. 3, ensuring that the IDPs, the displaced, are resettled. 3, that we initiate the process of national reconciliation and healing. This is not a message of hate at all.
Well, Charles, you've listened to the 2 principles, and you've listened to Boy Keke and Nsubuga.
Yeah, I will seek your indulgence to deliver a short message of condolences to great fan, Mr. Henry Kandabu, the former premier of the Obusinga. Was a very good fan of the faceoff. I'm going to miss his call because immediately after the talk show, he would call and then would do a review. May his soul rest in eternal peace. Let's begin from where it started the other day, which is really very unusual. The president and the vice president are holding a joint press conference whose objective, calm down the situation. That was the objective. The objective was not to hold delegates conference or Bonabaga Gawale, as you always have this business here. The objective was calm down the situation because there were several roadblocks, ministers being beaten, I think even senior military officers of the Riek Machar side being shot or hit. So there was a lot of tension, and it was obvious, and it was therefore necessary that the 2 of them,
the 2 principles,
give a message. Now you've seen that, you got a script, that piece where journalists are taking cover because State House was under attack. I've just been cross-checking notes here, the force that guards Riek Machar security that he came with as guards, probably 2 battalions, 1,300, 1,400, around there, 2 battalions, not a fighting force. These are guards. The force that Salva Kiir has in Juba, a division or 2 divisions, and his is fighting, well supplied, well equipped, to mention but a few. But initially, what was the view? The view was that Juba should be demilitarized. In other words, Salva Kiir remove your force, then a new and a neutral force, IGAD and those who are the guarantors of this peace agreement, deploy. So you also have a few guards, the other one has a few guards, but the security of Juba is under a third party. As you consider reintegration of the forces, to mention but a few. That was not done. And now you have an attack. So the question is, would Salva Kiir order an attack on the State House where he was addressing a press conference? It can't happen. Would Riek Machar order an attack with this small force in a press conference, in a location where he's addressing a press conference with the president? Certainly he cannot do it. So who attacked? Who is this who attacked, and what was his mission? Now, before that, there had been serious fighting in WOW. I had talked to your producer to bring that visual aid to see the distance between the map between WOW and Juba, which is across 700.
It is like from Kigali to Nairobi.
Yeah, yes, it's more than 700. Yeah. More than 700 kilometers, too close to
1,000 plus almost.
Yes. So there was fighting there. Now the question is, and that was for 3. So if you are talking about Nueras and Dinkas, where are the Nueras there? Are the Nueras the ones fighting Dinkas there?
In WOW?
Yes. Because when you go on ground and you check, they still tell you the story we have been having here in Uganda. Unknown gunmen. So the unknown gunmen are attacking Yumbe. You remember the other day? Yumbe to WOW is more than 1,000, I think 300 kilometers. It's a long distance.
Very far.
We have a UPDF tactical in Yambio, right? That is between,
yes.
Yeah.
Yambio and WOW.
And WOW, but it's also far. We are talking about 700, 800 kilometers. So the force which is...
That's the map that...
yeah, you see where Yambio is.
And then WOW.
And then you see where WOW is. So that's where UPDF is, that was taking care of LRA in the Democratic Republic of Congo. So the force therefore that attacks WOW is UPDF. I mean, that's the force that we have there that would be involved in a very serious crash. Yes, it's there. Then you have Juba. So the question is, did UPDF actually withdraw from Juba? Forget about this cover that they are saying that they went back for rescue operations. And they actually withdrawn, or they were there under cover. Who was in charge of the airport? Who was in charge of State House? Who was in charge of that market where there was intense fighting? Then you now have Nimule. If you can go back on the map between Nimule and Juba and Juba Road, that's why I think they attacked UPDF.
On their way back.
Yes. So which force would be operating there? Because we don't have Riak. Do we have Riak in Nimule?
No, they are labels.
Now the question is, what is the color, the texture, the definition of those rebels? Because the narrative here has always been gunmen. Who are these gunmen? But you're talking about, and unless you interrogate that other third force, you can't resolve this contradiction. It's that complex.
Charles, your assumption is that actually the crisis is not a disagreement among the tribes in South Sudan and the leadership. And for me, it isn't even the tribesmen. It is so much about the leadership. For you, it is not a leadership disagreement in South Sudan. It is an exploitation by a third force.
Yeah, because the two people are no longer in control of the situation unless they solicit support, understanding, and comfort of a third force. And that third force also has got... But I mean, no, these are facts. It's not about
Why
your feelings.
Do you want to assume that naturally the third force would be the UPDF? Why doesn't it become a force from Chad?
It is.
Why isn't it a force from Khartoum?
Yes.
Why isn't it a force from...
Khartoum is there. You know, you have the Khartoum as a factor is there. Certainly there are also other actors. But the force that went in for a side, that took sides, is UPDF. UPDF has been, what? This is what they told you. Now what we are interrogating, did they withdraw?
Maybe, can I give him some information?
Yes. Did they withdraw?
When I was submitting, I said that when you look at His Excellency Salva Kiir and His Excellency Riek, behind them, they are powerful generals. Where in some instances, they don't have control over them. Because as you have rightly
said... Why do you find it comfortable agreeing with that?
No, as you have rightly said...
The other one is not factual.
No, Charles, it is not. I have the privilege of having interacted with a number of people on both sides of the SPLM in government and SPLM in opposition. And I have listened to them on both sides. And you hear guttural feelings. Some of them will discard the people that I talk to that are supposed to be commanded by Dr. Riek Machar are not even listening to him. They are giving you a position and they are saying, if Riek decides this, we will move this way. It doesn't matter what it is.
Peter, we don't
want to also talk to people that disregard President Salva Kiir and they say, it doesn't matter what he says. We are in charge of territory, we are in charge of places. And for me, that is a very huge factor in this. And there may be a lot more.
Just in addition to that, before you come in, I want you to comment on this. Despite the fact the agreement is there, that all these people came back to Juba, but even you are aware that within SPLM in opposition and within SPLM, they are generals, they cannot even meet. They cannot even sit as we have seated here. And other people were giving commands. The two principals were inside the State House, but outside the State House they are giving different commands. And that's why the fighting started.
Finish your presentation so KK responds to all of you at once.
Maybe before you finish, allow me to respond. First of all, I wanted to state that very clearly, and I want the viewers to note this. The conflict in South Sudan, either the one in 2013 or the current one, has very little to do with the Nuer and the Dinka. And the reason why it took a tribal dimension was only the very fact that after Riek and his forces were dislodged in Juba in 2013, a militia, a private army, which was trained in Bargadal, who are not part and parcel of the National Army, the SPLA, conducted a house-to-house search, targeting specifically the Nuer people. That is basically the reason why the conflict took a tribal dimension, just to clear that. Secondly, I don't know how you are reading from. In the SPLM, SPLA IO, I could confirm to the viewers and to you here in the studio that Dr. Riek Machar is in 100% in control of his forces. There are several evidence to prove that he is in control of his forces. If Riek was not in control of his forces, we would not have come to Juba. The general who were brought to Juba with less than even 0% of their army. If Riek was not in control, they would not have accepted to come to Juba without the president of their light army. Let us call a spade a spade. The attack in the State House was done, I don't want to say, because this would be a blunder. I do not want to say that President Kiir is not in control of the process. Of course I know he's in control. Okay? They have to tell us. They have to tell us if there is a third process within the component of the SPLM, SPLA, within the SPLA in government, they would have to tell us. But if they did not tell us, it would be wrong to assume that there is a third process that conducted the operation in the State House. Because up to now, the president hasn't mentioned in Kampala, would you conduct an attack against the State House? Okay, the whole country goes to a blown civil war, and then you go hiding, you remain unnoticed. That will be a white elephant. Of course, that would not be true.
Yeah. Now there is another place called Nisitu. Right?
Nisitu on the Juba Nimule Road, but junction going to Tolit.
How many kilometers?
From Juba?
Yes.
Roughly 60?
Yeah, 60.
60.
Yeah.
Very good. That's what Mr. Museveni says. The UPDF to go and collect civilians, rescue civilians from Nisitu. When did you hear of a message urging civilians to leave Juba, wherever they are, to go and assemble in Nisitu?
Those messages are passed in Juba. In South
When,
Sudan.
when was it? Because I was monitoring the messages that they were sending. You see, there is a lot of science. There is a lot of science there, and I see a big. So, we need to define that third force. And you know, the problem is not recent. It's as far back as Warren Christopher, as far back as Clinton, when Sudan was still a whole. And you had the Anglo-American corporations. You need to go and read the RAND corporation papers of Ross and others supporting Mr. Museveni and a host of other corporate forces of theirs to fight what they call the Islamic fundamentalism until they split Sudan, into two. And they've not left because they are agents of neo-imperialism. They are looking at resources, they are looking at the minerals, deals. Actually, when you talk about South Sudan and Uganda here, you are either talking about rooting South Sudan or you are talking about deals. Rarely will you find people outside South Sudan talking about helping South Sudan with wells, with resources. No, they are looking at going to root it. And indeed, Kampala has been part of the hub where the rooted money and resources have been passing through. Where does it leave people? Abject poverty. It's a disaster on the ground. Now, before, we have had the similar problem here. You know how the Secretary General of the NRM was thrown out, among others. Actually, he was thrown out when Mr. Museveni had no powers to do so. We analyzed the delegates conference that did it. What followed with the generals, the Pinjefuzas, and the others, we've been with it until this contested election. Now, imagine these guys had armies to the tune of the Riek Machar. Where would we be? So, where would we be? And so you have a neighbor giving another neighbor the influence of a neighbor. That the model we have used in Uganda should be used in South Sudan. And normally, because
Hold
even
on,
here,
Charles.
let me
Hold on,
finish my
Charles.
point.
No, hold on.
Why?
You
Let
see,
me finish my point.
You're dealing with a problem because I've listened
You're
to
mixing up things.
Keke here. And Keke is telling you that here is what is the problem. You have a president that barely is in charge of his forces. And they are attacking here. And the president tells you, I have an agreement that is not enforceable.
To be implemented.
To be implemented. And therefore, you have a conflict at
Where did
birth.
it come from?
You have a conflict at birth. I mean, the agreement was tailored by IGAD, all the presidents of this region. You cannot impose it on
Came
a particular
from
president. And for Charles Romshana, he does not want to discuss Juba. He does not want to see the problems in Juba.
Discuss about
he
Kampala.
wants to transpose them and talk about
And
Kampala.
why are you struggling to reject that preamble? If you are not part of the
But they are not
conspiracy.
because it's a
They are not
sham.
facts. No, if you are not part of the
Because
conspiracy.
it's a sham.
Then why,
If Charles,
let me finish my point. You
Hold
see,
on.
here.
Hold on, Keke has to put.
if Charles would allow me to comment on the deployment of UPDF in 2013. By the way, I have a different perspective. To me, the deployment of UPDF in 2013 was not completely in bad faith. It is natural that when your neighbor is in problem, you intervene. This is an African way of doing things. But the problem is, if a neighbor have a problem, if your two neighbor, if a man, for example, if two people in their houses have a problem, and you want to intervene, and you don't have the right information of what happened, okay, then definitely you do not know how to go about this. To me, the government of President Salva or President Salva himself have actually betrayed the trust of the people of Uganda. Because the intention was to go and rescue the people of South Sudan
Yes.
from any danger. The UPDF went in to save life and property. As UPDF continue to fulfill the very objective upon which they went for, President Salva Kiir's private army were so busy massacres, killing civilians in their homes.
So what is the sham?
To me, it's a betrayal. It's a betrayal of trust. Because the intention was not to go and help Salva Kiir kill civilians. The intention was to go and protect civilian and property. The important installation like the airport, the state house, and other places. And contain the general security in Juba. Then, of course, in the other town. But the government in Juba went and did the opposite. I do not want to take the media speculation that UPDF is being redeployed in South Sudan. To me, it's a media speculation.
Yeah, they are not tracing that. They left officially.
UPDF, they went, what I know, they went to bring Ugandan war troops in South Sudan. If there is a change of heart, I have no idea about this. But this is something we can talk, we can investigate. You know, in Juba now, there is no necessity for UPDF to be deployed because there is no balance of power in Juba. SPLMIO, under His Excellency, the first Vice President, Dr. Machar, had only 1,307 posts in Juba. Again, approximately 40 to 50,000 with artillery, tanks, and air power. Now, why would you deploy UPDF to South Sudan? We recommend that there should be such forces. UPDF can go to South Sudan as part of the component
of IGAD,
or UN. That is acceptable. And I think that is a version that everybody is reading from.
Yes, Charles.
So, that narrative of tribes exists in even these other states. Actually, even this conflict of ours almost degenerated to it. When Amamba was, because you see in his preamble, he raised it, when he said the intra-SPLA contradictions. As soon as the others expressed interest to run for the chairmanship of the party and the presidency, then you had this mayhem that you actually had in the NRM. And it degenerated to that. You even have it in other neighboring countries. Those will always be. But by the time they degenerate to a level of arms, and then you have an existing military force superstructure moving in and taking sides, it becomes a little bit pathetic, and that's where we are. So if you are looking at proper analysis of this problem, we need to critically examine the interests of the third parties, because the presence of third parties invite other third parties, and that was the danger. That was the position of America, that if UPDF you don't leave, then you are going to invite other parties to come in, either openly or underground, and indeed they are on ground. That's why you have go to war, literally getting spread in the entire South Sudan. So the truth ought to be told. Neighbors, stay away if you are going to help in a neutral way. And if it's done, and it's done in transparent and honest, this problem can be solved. But it cannot be solved when African states are going to be agents of Anglo-American cooperation imperialism. It will not happen. The African consciousness that is in resistance will demolish them, and indeed, they are getting demolished.
No, for me, Peter.
I'll take another break. When I return from the break, I'll take a few calls, and we'll be able to talk to you viewers. Our numbers will be displayed on the set, so you are able to call in. And then I'll put to Simeo. Simeo has the benefit of having been there at the point at which the agreement that Dr. Salva Kiir talks about, Dr. Riek Machar and Salva Kiir are talking about and disagreeing on. was being drafted, was being put together. Actually, before we got President Salva Kiir saying that it was unimplementable, Simeo here had said that it was an agreement that was really crafted to collapse. I need a bit of insight into that and a few of you to talk to us. Don't go away.
Stop chasing bonuses that don't last. Bonga Forever Ever from Uganda Telecom never expires and gives you up to 100% guaranteed bonus every time you load airtime. Simply dial *100#, select Bonga Forever Ever, and talk and text all networks with the bonus that lasts. Get Bonga Forever Ever from Uganda Telecom.
Uganda Telecom, Uganda's most affordable telecom service.
Welcome back. It is the Face of Friday night. Peter Kivazo with me, Charles Romshana, Ambassador Ikeke Bwai, or the representative of the SPLM. Because I'm thinking, would the opposition have an ambassador? I don't see that. The representative of the SPLM in opposition.
You are misplacing my title.
You know, the moment you are made the ambassador, then it is government in government, like Simeo says.
Yes.
And Honorable Simeo Mwanga Nsubuga. Simeo, I need to get into the grit of these agreements. A lot of these agreements are not done by the presidents themselves.
Yes.
The summit of the presidents come when the document is really basically drafted. They look at
By
it.
technocrats, yeah.
Yes, by technocrats. You had opportunity to interact with some of the technocrats. What is the mind that informs this document that the president says from the onset it was unimplementable?
Yeah, in my opening remarks, I had already mentioned about it. The question of the forces, where you say, General Yak, you come back to Juba with all your leadership, SPLM in opposition, they share the ministries, but go ahead and appoint your head of the army, appoint your head of the police, and head of the prison. In the meantime, you have found that SPLM in Juba, there's the head of the army, there's the head of police, and head of prison. Between you and me, this one is you cannot implement it. Secondly, since independence, since they gained the independence, it is well known, it is a fact that South Sudan is made up of 10 states. But before or after signing the agreement, this now His Excellency Salva Kiir comes in and creates 28 states.
The way we top districts here.
This is a brother, why are you driving it back to Kampala?
This
was very, very dangerous.
Because
you know, in South Sudan, it's, when you say a state like Lakes, with its capital city called Lumbek, we know the owners of that state. When you say a state like Upper Nile State, with its capital city Malakal, we know the owners of the states. Unlike Uganda here, for example, Peter, where you find that someone moves from one place and goes to another and settles there peacefully. It's not the case in South Sudan. If you are born of that state, please, you have to remain there. Sure. I'm telling you, apart from the cities, because this country is entirely, these are cattle keepers. You cannot move, for example, you cannot find a Nweri, is my witness. You cannot find a Nweri from Malakal to Lumbek with these cows, or to Tolit. It's a very, very complicated issue. Secondly, and why you say that this agreement is not, it's very difficult to implement it? Because the people who are responsible for the war in 2013, the commanders of the war, they are not accepted that the war ended. There was not that acceptance. The commanders of the war in 2013, from both sides, they are not accepting the war ended. The revenge spirit is still within them. And for me, I can assure you from my perspective, as somebody who has been there, that what happened in 2013 is just a continuation of what has just happened recently.
So it's been always waiting for a spark.
That is true. One thing which I want to Comrade Charles here, the former DC, you never know, can even be among the new, the soon to be.
Are you deploying him?
No, you never know. I said you never know. Because things change these days, you never know. But what I want him to appreciate is one thing, that UPDF to go in South Sudan, it helped a lot. It stopped a massacre. Charles, I'm telling you, I was there. I witnessed what happened. If UPDF had not entered that country, between you and me, we are going to have another Rwanda of 1994. It was going to happen. But UPDF to go there, whatever negative sentiments or negative...
Who put down the ball?
Huh?
Who put down the ball?
No, it was fighting between...
Who put down the ball? You tell the truth.
No, it was fighting between the Riyaka's forces and the...
Hello? Okay, I lost the caller.
So, yes. Officially we know that UPDF withdrew. And they have just gone back to rescue the Ugandans. And by the way, for me, I want to make it very clear. First of all, to thank the UPDF with its commanders, the CDF and all other officers.
Hold on. Hello? Hello? Okay, viewers, please don't wait to hear yourself on the cell or on the set behind you, because if you do, then we will lose you. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Your name, question or comment?
Yeah, this is Martin.
Yes, Martin, talk to us.
Yeah, I love the program. Good evening, Joe.
Martin, please talk to us.
Yeah, my comment here. The problem in Sudan, in South Sudan, is only one.
Mm-hmm.
The forces in South Sudan actually are corrupt. So it is not easy for South Sudan to see each other in a wrong way. So you find that not easy, even leaders to control the forces and the people themselves. That's why you find that there is confusion in South Sudan.
Thank you. I know countries that may be more corrupt than South Sudan, and I haven't seen them bust up into war. I don't know whether it's really corruption. I don't know whether we are talking about the same country. Hello? Yes, good evening.
Yes, good evening. How are you, Peter?
Fine, thank you. Your name, question or comment?
Yes, my name is Farouk.
Yes, Farouk.
Yes, I would like to say, really, however much we sometimes tend to disagree with what the solution is saying. This time around, among the few people that are trying to buy his idea, because look at it from this perspective. People having contradicting views. It matters these are the president, Salva Kiir and Riek Machar. They are in the conference. They are talking about reconciliation, and all of a sudden, they are shot at. Yes, we may say whatever we say, I mean the issue of tribes in South Sudan and the like, but you can't rule out the fact that there is a hidden arm somewhere. Something is going on behind it, whether you like it or not. And the Makio, we should not forget that for UPDF to pull out of South Sudan, it was not even welcomed by Uganda. It was not they did get out of their own will. It was more of forcing them to get out of South Sudan. So I really think whether it's UPDF or not, I may not be sure about whether it's UPDF or some other force, but there is some other postbacks.
Thank you. You make your point. His thinking is certainly there is a third force, and he would like to interrogate which is this third force. Hello? Yes, good evening. Yes, talk to us.
Actually, I have another issue basing on what you have been
Listen.
I think it's underappreciated.
I'm sorry, your line is breaking and we can barely hear each other. I'm very sorry about that. If you can call in, we'll try that again. Hello? Yes, good evening. You're my last caller for the evening.
Hello?
Yes, good evening. Talk to us.
Yes, this is Isaac from Chikuma.
Yes, Isaac.
Yeah, this is Isaac. What I'm trying to say is that Sudan will stay beyond Kiir and Salva and Rak Mashal. So with without Salva Kiir and Mashal, Sudan will stay. So therefore, I think Sudan needs a mediator who is democratic and non-military, and someone who is exemplary, like the late Nelson Mandela. And lastly, I think Sudanese should find a lasting solution to their own problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Simeo.
Yes, sir.
You were doing a wrap-up on this, and then I'll go around and I'll finish.
What I was saying, that sincerely, even my comrade Charles, we should appreciate what UPDF has done, because they have managed to rescue, to evacuate a number of our Ugandans, like quite many. Like today when I was communicating to some people in Juba, they told him that they have even allowed the people with their vehicles to enter the convoy and drive safely back to Kampala. But as we are winding up, for me I want to make this one very clear, because I think the ambassador here will say that, and even you mentioned about it, that IGAD was supposed to deploy the forces in Juba to ensure that the
IGAD was supposed to be the neutral
but
force.
Doesn't want.
But up now they have not deployed it. The question behind this is like this. IGAD, member countries, they have the personnel. The soldiers are there. Uganda, Kenya, Ethiopia, Djibouti, everybody. But the question of money.
Who is going to fund it?
Who is going to fund this? It is quite a very expensive mission. Unless these powerful countries come in and say, we are willing.
The ones that Charles doesn't want to hear about.
Unless America comes up, because this is a Security Council issue, America comes up and says, I will fund the mission, or UK, or France, or Russia, or China. But at the end of it, where do we end up? Where do we go from here?
But you haven't talked about the agreement. For some reason, you avoid the agreement.
No, I've mentioned the agreement. I've mentioned about the.
No,
I have read it.
Okay. He was a technocrat.
I have read it. Even at drafting level, I have read it. Because, for example, another point I've mentioned about the issue of the army. This is a very serious question, by the way. Before you talk about anything, because now these are however much, however little the forces for Yak are 1,000 plus, but they have a commander who is giving instruction to them. Because what happened on that actually when they were inside, outside, the two forces are deployed. Peter Noble has mentioned this one to you. But outside the State House, those of Riak were there, waiting their boss to come outside, they can escort him back home. And those of Salva Kiir were there. And that's why the whole problem started. So as I'm
Wait a minute. You're saying that when the two principals were meeting,
were inside, they
had deployed prior?
No, what happens as His Excellency Riak was going to State House, he was under his soldiers guarding him, and when he entered, they remained outside. But as while they were outside, even those of His Excellency Salva were also outside guarding. I think you can see the problem, because if you know how the forces work, by how the security is supposed to operate, if Riak had arrived at State House, those of Salva were supposed to take over his security, and this one did what? Withdraw. That's what happened.
Do you see that possible?
As I'm telling you, that's what happened in the most situation. For example, here in Uganda, if the vice president goes to State House, the moment he enters State House, those who are guarding him, they remain outside. And at a distance, by the way. So now those who are guarding State House, they take over security. But this was a different case. And this
That
was
is in a situation.
you know,
that is in a situation where actually you are the vice president. In the current situation in Juba, you have two principles. Everyone is a de facto,
and there is mistrust.
Chaz, will you just do the wrap-ups and then we come to...
I would wish to disagree a little bit. What caused the war was not actually the presence of the two armies. What caused the war is simply the lack of the political will. Because actually the war did not simply start in the State House.
Where did it start?
You have an attack of two very important officers of the SPLM SPLA who were killed in the afternoon of the second.
I made a mention of that.
Okay. Then on Thursday evening, you have an attack on the guard of Machar, who went to his office to deliver food to their friend, to their colleague. When they were going back to Dr. Machar incident, they were attacked. Then on Friday, the president called on the vice president, on the first vice president and the vice president to the State House to discuss the matter. When the two principal and the vice president were in a meeting, the force of the president, who were deployed alongside the force of the first vice president, were joined by other extra colleagues. Okay? And after they came, they start shooting on the guard of the first vice president. It was not just, it did not spark only in the State House.
So this is what I hear. And this is different from what Charles was telling me. Effectively, you're saying that actually the forces of SPLM in government shot at the Dr. Riak forces.
Yes.
It is not the situation that Charles is telling us that actually in normal operation and caution, there would be no reason for them to shoot at each other when the principals are inside.
But I'm here.
It happened.
Charles.
I'm here. Of course, I shouldn't be interrogated on things that you can easily research. If you know even how to interpret motion pictures, you really see journalists inside the State House taking cover. For you to reach in the proximity of State House, where head of state is addressing, and there is that kind of Panamanian, shows the problem is a little bit more serious. And no sane commander would take that kind of risk. By the way, you need even to go and interrogate the nature of weapons that have been used in this conflict, ranging but not limited to the use of gunships. Agreements. Before this agreement was you can see them. Before this agreement was implemented, Mr. Museveni went to Khartoum and through President Bashir met Riek Machar. We don't have what they discussed. And two, Riek Machar came here and had a conversation. Certainly, there are very many times Mr. Museveni has met Salva Kiir. So in other words, he's an important player in this equation. By the way, he's even more visible than some of these other heads of states, including the president of Kenya. I remember the meeting, heads of state summit in Dar es Salaam, in Tanzania, to unify SPLM. So there are a lot of initiatives that have taken place. But when it comes to implementation on the ground, consultations have to be made with Mr. Museveni. And therefore, Mr. Museveni becomes a significant factor. You study his disposition. And so when I'm looking at an agreement fading, then I now double click him. Which agreement has he been involved in and has been smooth sailing? The Nairobi peace talks between NRA and UNRA, it collapsed. They signed it. Kampala was attacked and overrun. The RPA, Abiyarimana agreement, Arusha, Abiyarimana was killed on his way from signing the agreement. Then you have the San Sita agreement that brought in Bemba as vice president in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Games, and it had to be resolved by use of force and it ended up with in mayhem and until you have Bemba in prison. So you can't implement an agreement where there is no political will. That's why, by the way, if you're talking about positions,
But do you have political will?
it's not there because of the nature of the actors and mainly the significant actor. If this was between the South Sudanese, probably they would have resolved it. But when you look at the interest of the exterior, you have a bit of a problem. And look even at the sharing of positions. Vice president, then vice president, first vice president, second vice, those things you find them here. Hybrid, Katogo, from here. Prime minister, first vice prime minister, second, third, fourth, what? It's the same thing that you take there in a very complicated terrain, and it can't work.
I need a wrap up.
I wanted to state to ask the region, the leaders of the region, starting with President Museveni, to stand by the people of South Sudan, to renew their commitment, to ensure that the agreement for the resolution of conflict in South Sudan is implemented in letters and spirit, so that the people of South Sudan can resume their normal life. The war, the current war or previous war, all of them are meaningless. The people of South Sudan did not deserve them. They are man-made disaster. And the African leaders, even us in South Sudan, we can never claim that we were an island. The birth of South Sudan was made possible with the help of these permanent leaders, this great country. So it will be unfortunate that it is worse in a very simple manner, like the way it is now.
Thank you very much, KK. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
There 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, for me.
Not for the people of Kasana.
Yeah, no, not for the people of Kasana. For me, the South Sudan, where I've been, where I've worked for 5 years, will only be peaceful if we implement what was implemented in Liberia or in East Timor.
Which is?
Where UN comes up, the international committee comes up and takes over the country. Like for a period of 5 years, we recruit everything new. New soldiers, new police, new prison, and then we organize the free and fair elections under the supervision of UN.
With the militias you have trained there, you have armed.
How do you go about the disarming?
No, but you know when it takes over, when UN takes over, the first item on the agenda is disarming everybody. And the international community, the regional forces.
It worked in Liberia.
It worked in Liberia perfectly.
Liberia was much smaller.
No, the issue of the sites cannot have, because the UN has the capacity to bring whatever.
In Haiti, they already have Korea. That's the UN.
They can bring in whatever force they want. Whether 50,000, whether 100,000, they can come in. In East Timor, it worked. But between you and me,
would that be a solution?
That's the best solution.
Is that something
that can be one of the solutions? But there are also other solutions.
You wouldn't have a problem with that it is actually taking away the sovereignty of the people?
Well, sovereignty or no sovereignty, I think sovereignty is the people.
By the way, in the DRC.
But if the leaders fail,
they have failed.
I do not want this to be the first attempt. But I would recommend if it is a third or second attempt. If the leaders were given an opportunity to renew the commitment with the spirit of the agreement and to unite the country and the people, then probably that will be the best option.
Thank you very much.
They even faded in Congo. I was almost faded in Congo, you remember?
But that was a different mission.
A pleasure always sitting in. Viewers will join each other once again on Tuesday on Issues at Hand. Thank you very much, Charles Shana. Thank you very much, Ikeke Boy. He isn't an ambassador. He is there.
Head of the mission.
Head of mission, and the mission should be embassy effectively, isn't it?
Something similar to that.
So effectively, Sudan has two governments. South Sudan has two governments.
Mission is an embassy in waiting.
Yeah, because you are recognized by Kampala.
Well, good night.
WBS TV.
nga 23 July
Kampala ya fefena.
Kampala ya fefena.
Nange saagala ombuuzo ba Kampala ya fefena. Nange njagala nkubuuze gweddala Kampala ogikoledde ki okugamba nti ya fefena.
Kampala ya omuntu wa waggulu, Kampala ya mufumbi wa mmere, Kampala ya muvuzi wa boda boda.
Owomungudu, omwezi w'oluguudo, omuyoozi wa kasasiro, abasawo, ba professionals bonna, abasuubuzi. Lwaki ombuuzo oba yaffe ffenna? Nange njagala nkubuuze nti gwe ogikoledde ki okugamba nti Kampala yaffe ffenna?
Nga 23 July 2016 tuli wano nga twebuuza nti ddala kituufu Kampala yaffe ffenna.
Must watch on WBS TV.
Sawa amanya waputa kukuju atenga ni chocolate boy. Sereka tugadai chuma za mbuga. Sister wa muwerera iko. Akayimba ko njagalo kawereza abayimbi mwenna ngedobozi yo nderusobora kuyimba luyimba lwa alavu. Kati baba bakakuwanga mu aboli omwana agaba. Ngakenda woza gwe noyibawo ngakwana woza. Tugana seba kwe. Waliwo nange